I'm so excited. My order finally arrived from A.Gallo. They came out with some brand new colors, so I can't wait to get into this with you. Let's unbox it. Got their business card and a postcard. A nice little sample. Color swatch cards. I haven't seen these before. I think this was a free gift, so I didn't order it. Perline green was a color that I added, and Moroccan red ochre was another color. And then the palette with all their new colors is the new mid-century palette. And let me get this plastic off. All right, I dug into that plastic, and here is their card, which they have colors listed, all about the colors. It's always nice to have the information. Make sure I get that in shot for you so you can take a picture or see everything. And then here it always comes in a beautiful box and fancily wrapped. Oh, look at that wrapping. Very true to the palette. A swatch card. And there are the colors. And it came with a brush. If I can get it out, these seem to be put in there pretty tightly. There we go. And this is a 0 mop. So we'll go ahead and use that on our swatching today. A couple of these popped out. It's hard when they have the wrappings all on them, so I will get that out and I will add these two. The wrappings come off pretty easily. Let's move the box off to the side just so I can show you. This is warm gray. Pan slides right out of the little sleeves. They're so cute, and they mark all the pans for you, so you don't even need to go back and have to get out your Sharpie and mark them all, and then they fit in properly. So I'll go ahead and unwrap all these and we'll take a look at the colors. Look at those beautiful colors. They always fill their pans so beautifully that, you know, they're so nicely topped off and everything. So I added the extra color here and here so that I could kind of keep the exact layout that they had. I am going to go ahead and actually use the back side and make a color chart including those two colors. And I'll be right back and we'll go ahead and swatch these up and then we'll do a painting. Alright, I got the brush all washed, fresh pot of water. I just taped it straight to the desk to make it nice and easy for us. And our first color is Juan Brilliant number 1. And I will bring these up nice and close when they're dry. They all have a bit of white in them except for I think one color. This is Sunshine Yellow. Juan Brilliant 2. Very peachy. I haven't bought myself a brand new palette. I've been just kind of remaking a lot of the ones that I already had to make them kind of fit me, and this one just grabbed my attention. Then we have Atomic Orange. And I added the two colors where I thought I needed a little bit more depth. A lot of these run light or medium in tone. And although they have a richer blue and the black, I didn't feel they had as many darks. So I added a couple and I knew that they would fit. Coral red. You gotta love the colors of this era, the posters and everything. I think it runs like the 40s through 1970. I want to say the whole era. Fuchsia. And I always liked that vintagey kind of look. So I think that's what drew me to this. I was debating on, they have a 12 palette as well. And I'm like, no, if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it. And like I said, I haven't bought myself any new palettes recently. I've just been revamping things to take out with me. Sorry about my phone. They're talking about the spaceship that's up there right now, and my phone keeps going off. I guess they think we need it updated like the weather updates. This is really pretty color. That was rosewood, and now we're going into antique rose. Yeah, these colors are really up my alley. I usually always have buff titanium on my palette and I mix it in to get some softer colors. But it is nice to have a pre-mixed palette with a lot of these colors. Rose 22, very pale, very soft, pastel-y. Like I said, most of this palette is mid or soft tones, and I thought, and looking back on the colors that were of that era, that I could add in two colors and kind of give it a little bit more depth, so it was a little more versatile on its own. This color intrigued me, sand. Had a little crystal of something on the palette. These are re-wetting beautiful. I did not pre-wet, even though they say, you know, pre-wet your paints. These are just a wet brush or a pretty damp brush going right in. Then we have cognac. This is a gorgeous color. Dog hair. Please excuse the dog hair. I have it all over my house. It's starting to get hot here in Arizona, and he is shedding and shedding. Then we have leather brown. Very different kind of browns. These are quite gorgeous. Very neutral. And that is why I added the last color, because of where I live, to make the palette more versatile. I felt that it needed a very warm brownie color, and that's why I added the red ochre, Moroccan red ochre. And although there was an orange in here, it's a very different type of orange, and this is more of a ready-made palette, so this gives it a lot more versatility for me, and I think it goes. Oranges were very predominant of that time, browns were. All right, next row. We're going to go straight down, and that is the white. I will paint it on here, but I don't think we're going to be able to see anything. We might be able to see a little bit of the opacity from if it goes over the lettering. And it covered it up pretty good. We'll see when that dries how opaque it really is. Then we go into a beautiful warm gray. I was debating whether or not it came with a white in the set, and I'm not usually a big straight white person unless it's gouache. I usually do more of a buff titanium, and I was debating whether or not that was one of the colors that I wanted to put in here, but that wouldn't have added too much depth. And it did have this warm gray and the sand color, so I thought, nah, it doesn't need it. Ivory black. Then we have modern mauve. It reminds me of another color by, I think, Shinhan Paints has one similar. It's called something completely different, like violet gray or something to that effect, but it reminds me of that. Trying to give a little transparency to each one towards the bottom of their swatch. And this is lavender, which I have had in quite a few palettes, and I do really enjoy. Then we go blue navy, and this is their darkest blue in the set, and it's not that dark. Now if you mix it with the ivory black, you could probably have a Payne's gray effect. Now we have MCM blue. Sorry if you can hear the neighbor's dog. powder blue. This color also reminds me of a color by, I'm trying to think. By Old Holland called Blue Gray. It reminds me a lot of this one. Then we have turquoise. This is a very muted turquoise, very green leading. Ames Green. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Very pretty. Something quite a bit different. I don't have too many of these type of greens. Dusty Sage. Very much of that time. And we have Avocado. It always reminds me of how they used to have the avocado refrigerators and stoves, and the kitchens were all bright in pinks or avocados. There was even a rug in my grandmother's house that had this color rug on the floor in the upstairs bedroom. And yes, it was this bright. And it was there for so many years, so many years. And then we go into the Perlene Green that I had added on. Perfect. I'll let those dry up. We'll take a closer look. All right, let's pull off this tape and see what we have. Tape is not the best, but it's nice and thin. They look quite pretty. All right, I'm going to get something out of my sketchbook and we'll go ahead and paint a little something up. Lately I've been about possibilities and I thought about simplifying, and so recently I got this little Karen Campbell book, and the way she breaks down the drawings into simple things, and since I like urban sketching, is fantastic. So what I did was I drew them out, and I've been using supplies that I don't normally use alone. So like ink tents, watercolor pencils. I usually do more of a mixed media. My velvet palette, which is an opaque palette, Tombow markers, um, Pitt pens, watercolor markers, just Neocolor 2s. Usually I only use them for little bits. And then I have the rest kind of drawn out, ready to go. So let's pick one, and we're going to try this palette out on it and have a little fun. darkened up the shadows a little bit. I always think that gives the cartoony ones a little bit more. Really cute. The paints lift easily, and on hot press paper I did see the little bit when I watered them out that they were a little patchy, so you kind of have to use really smooth strokes. But overall the paints are absolutely gorgeous colors, work like a dream, re-wet beautifully. And I hope this helps you make a little bit of a decision if you were thinking about a new palette or on the fence. And let me just bring those colors up for you one more time. I did go ahead and put some packing tape over it, and I painted the other side where they were all labeled. That way I always have the record. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.